Call me anytime. I will be on the front line. St. Michael East. Good night, Barbados Labour Party people. Good night to the beautiful people of the Barbados Labour Party. Good night to the beautiful people of St. Michael Southeast and to the entire family of Barbados. Tonight I stand here. I want to thank you, Dalton, for the introduction. You took me back to a time when I think I didn't have gray hair as well. But it is a pleasure to be here tonight. We share a border with Trevor. But St. Michael is a family. I share a border with Kirk. I share a border with Marcia. I share a border with Dwight. But St. Michael constituencies are interconnected in a way that no other areas in this country are interconnected. And so tonight I'm here not just as a representative of St. Michael Southeast, but I'm here as family. Barbados Labour Party family, but St. Michael Southeast family. Because people in St. Michael Southeast have partners in St. Michael East. They got children in St. Michael East. They nip into the neighborhood every now and again in St. Michael East. They have business in St. Michael East. And when they suffer under a Democratic Labour Party administration, they suffer together with the people of St. Michael Southeast. Now I want to take you back on a journey before I start to blaze up in here tonight. Because, first of all, I ain't taking up pictures with nobody tonight. All right? Good. But I want to say to each and every one of you that when I started out as a child in a household with Santia Bradshaw, my father, I understood from a young age what it was to give to your country, what it was to give back to your society, what it was to be honest and truthful, what it was to be a representative of people, what it was not to scorn people because they were different or differently able, what it was to empower and to uplift a people, to let them know that they could do better no matter where they had come from and whatever circumstances had met them along the way. I came up in a political household where I was able to express my own views regardless of whether they were on par with whatever the Barbados Labour Party's policies were. Many times myself and my father would find ourselves in battle over various policies, but the one thing I always understood was that I could speak truth to power. It has carried me on a journey that many other children who are children of politicians in this country dare not embark on. Many like me do not step into the political arena. They don't do so not because they don't care about people, but because oftentimes they have seen firsthand what entering public life and being in the political arena can do not only to the individual politician, but what it can do to your family as well. And many like me, a child of a politician, would dare not venture in some cases to stand on a political platform, to associate with people who are different, to assist people who are from different social classes. And they do so because of a fear of either being labeled that they are like their parent, being compared to a parent, not being able to blaze their own trail, not being able to speak their mind, and certainly not being able to speak truth to power. But I stand here tonight to tell you that I am proof that there are other people like me who want to be able to speak truth to power. They may not be children of politicians, but they understand that they are Barbadians first and foremost. And that when things are going wrong in their country, that they must stand back, not as a Barbados Labour Party supporter, but they must stand back and do what is right and to speak out what is right in the interest of their country. And I start there because I want you to understand that I am not just Brady's daughter. didn't inherit St. Michael's Southeast. As Dalton said, I worked hard as tail to show that I could blaze a trail in my own right and care about people and represent the voiceless in this country. I didn't stumble on political life. When I thought, I came up believing that I would go straight to becoming a minister and I would be able to do the best for my country. And instead, I ended up in the Senate of this country. And from the Senate, it was only Kerry Simmons and myself in the Senate. And I learned to give additional voice to the voiceless in this country. And from there, when I thought that we were finally going to hold political office as the government of this country, I remember on election night being asked, how do I feel about the fact that we have lost the government, but that I won my seat? And I remember saying to the reporter, I have mixed emotions. Because I knew then back in 2013, that as I walked across the length and breadth of Barbados, that there were people in this country who could do better. That the Barbados Labour Party could bring a better life to the people of this country. And I had a mixed emotion in my gut, in my belly. The feeling of victory, but a feeling of sadness. That what we would be in for over the next couple of years would be an administration that did not care about the people of this country. And that belief rings true for me today. They have been in office since 2008. And my mixed emotions were right from that election night, back in 2013 as well. Because it is clear from the policies pursued by this Democratic administration, Democratic Labour Party administration, they do not care about the people of this country. They will masquerade in Parliament and bring legislation on in the dying days of an administration to make you believe that they are busy doing something in this country. They will come on the eve of an election and want you to believe that all of a sudden ministers are working. But I want you to understand that the ministries are not functioning. They are not working because the ministers are looking after their ministry, their constituencies first, and their ministries secondary. So when the Democratic Labour Party operatives want to take advantage of me and want to blast across social media and in newspapers that I, in some way, am aiding and abetting people from expressing their personal views, I have this to say to them. I, Santia Bradshaw, am not afraid to call a spade a spade. I have never stooped to the level of being personal in public life because I believe that when I attack people personally, that it is time for me to get out of politics. It is time for me to recognize that there is nothing left for me to say. But the beautiful thing is that this Democratic Labour Party administration have given us so much fodder upon which that we can mount a campaign, upon which we can stand on a podium and speak to the people of this country. I don't need to attack them personally. I don't need to photograph with anybody in shirts expressing their personal views about anybody in the Democratic Labour Party because I have a tongue in my mouth, and if I want to say that you are doing nonsense, I will say so. And to reduce in this country that because I stand next to someone wearing a shirt, that I am in some way affiliated with the message, says to me that even as an educated country, that our people in the media themselves are missing the message. If you want to talk about shirts, take out the R out of shirt, S-H-I-R-T, and talk about the sewage on the South Coast. Because this morning, as I came through St. Lawrence Gap where I reside, I was met with a manhole that was oozing a substance that looked like the same substance that I'm seeing on the Edong Hastings and Worthing. And what has been reported to me is that they are saying that this is grease. Now, 2 years ago, the leader of the Barbados Labour Party warned this country about the situation on the South Coast. And the Democratic Labour Party, along with its leader, has been sleeping on this issue. Now, I want to believe that it is grease emanating from the manholes in St. Lawrence Gap. I want to believe that, and that the problem can be rectified. But when an administration has covered up so much over the last 2 years, that we are now seeing sewage emanating from our manholes on the South Coast, I am sure you, like me, don't feel comfortable knowing that they're the ones who have to tell me what it is coming out of the manhole. And so tonight, I want to call on the Minister of Health. I want to call on the Minister of Water and Drainage. I want to call on the Prime Minister of this country and all right-thinking members of the Democratic Labour Party hierarchy to deal with the issues on the South Coast as a matter of urgency. We didn't mount a platform last week because we could. We mounted a platform because we understood the health implications to the people of this country. The people of this country first. Gone too high. We didn't mount a platform last week because we could do so and we want to ramp up a campaign. We did so because we understand the importance of tourism to this country. And we understand that if we are dependent on tourism for our livelihood, that we must do all within our power to ensure that our businesses do not suffer, our people do not suffer, that the tourists who are visiting this island do not suffer. And most of all, that Barbadians across this country, traversing and establishing businesses, traversing these areas, do not suffer as well. But it says to me that the gag order that is on the Democratic Labour Party members in relation to this issue speaks volumes to the lack of caring that this administration displays to the people of this country. And I don't know about you, but for me, if you are not caring, if you are not going to accept responsibility for where things may have gone wrong, you cannot now come 2 years later and say to me, you have a plan. It is like the Minister of Finance having failed plan, failed economic plan after failed economic plan, and then coming again with wait, name now the sustainable recovery plan that he's coming with now. You know, it is, I tell people, you cannot educate a people and then expect them to behave as though they are fools. This administration has come time and time again explaining to the people of Barbados that they're going to jack out a little bit more money and a little bit more money, and it's going to bring down the fiscal deficit. And on every single occasion that they have come, whether they have increased the VAT, whether they've imposed the National Social Responsibility Levy, whether they came with the mobile cell phone tax, whether they tried the municipal solid waste tax, whatever this administration has tried, it has failed. You agree with me? I remember there was a lottery tax. We ain't hearing nothing more about that taxing the lottery winnings. They tell us that there are going to be large tourism investments coming to the country. We heard about the Sam Lawrence project. Then we heard 60% of the workforce was going to come from China. When Barbadians, having been laid off, expecting that they would be the ones at the front line, being able to benefit from any new investment and construction in this country. Do these people understand how Barbadians are suffering? Because the people in St. Michael are suffering. The people in my constituency cry out daily, and I know Kirk and others, Marsha, all of us face it. People don't ask sometimes for money anymore. People ask for things to be able to get them through the day and the week, whether it is to send their children to school, whether it is for a bottle of gas. Sometimes they will do without the light bill being paid just to make sure they have water. Do you understand the suffering in this country? Because I don't believe that only the Barbados Labour Party members of Parliament are experiencing the hardship in their constituencies, and the Democratic Labour Party members don't go to them and tell them that they are suffering. And then I hear Democratic Labour Party supporters crying out as well, which is a sign of the times. Because when it is that your own people have now taken a position that you are the worst administration since the late era Walton Barrow. As far as I'm concerned, there's not much choice for the electorate of this country in electing the Barbados Labour Party in the next election. I want you to understand that we are not like them. That people like Trevor Prescott, who represents this area, I like to call him my political brother. Because Trevor is a man that speaks his mind. Trevor is, that's what I'm talking about. The people in the Barbados Labour Party speak their mind. They speak truth to power. We know when to step back, but we also know when to take leadership from our leader, because we have a leader who leads. We have people who have come to the fore like Marsha Cattle, who have risked everything to be able to give to the people of St. Michael's South Central her time and her energy and her brilliance. You understand the sacrifice that the members of the Barbados Labour Party are making for you? There are people who could do something different, who could profit and benefit off of consultancies. Take my brother Kirk. Could decide that with his knowledge and his experience, he could do something different. He could work for any international organization across the world because Barbados has produced him. But he has chosen to give back to Barbados. And don't forget, he comes from St. Michael's office. So he's top class. You have Arthur Holder. I don't have to tell you. Anybody get in trouble. The two people I call in St. Michael's, out from St. Michael's office, gonna be Arthur Holder, Wilfred Abrams. Because I understand that they understand the judicial system. And they understand that when you call, that sometimes people don't have the money to get their children and their youngsters on bail. And they make the sacrifice to understand what it is that families are going through and the hardship, and to give people a second chance. That is the caliber of people that you have in the Barbados Labour Party. And there are more. I'm just talking about the ones who are on this platform tonight. You got people like John King, who have given to the cultural industries of this country. But he's also given to our young people as well. Now, some might say the Democratic Labour Party people did things before they came to office. And maybe they did. But the true judge of character isn't just what you did when you came to office. It is the sacrifice you are prepared to make to come to office. And many of them came to office coming out of the wilderness of a Democratic Labour Party in the wilderness for several years. So when they talked about the fatted calf, they ate off and sucked off the nipples of the fatted calf because they were in the wilderness for so long. Fortunately, the members of the Barbados Labour Party understand the suffering. But you see the team that Mayor Motley has put together, the beautiful team that we have put together, it is a team that understands that we have to transform the Barbados economy. Not talking to you about Barbados is not just an economy, it is a society. But then when the crimes start to break out, they are nowhere to be found. This is the same administration that wanted to take all the youngsters off the block. But when it is convenient to them, they want to engage the people on the block to manipulate their minds to take a little money on election day to come out and vote. And I want to say to those individuals who are on the block, because many of you deserve to be working. Even if you want to be on the block, I know that many of you want to be able to own your own businesses. But the opportunities are not there under a Democratic Labour Party administration. And those things are the things that people like myself and the rest of the team understand that we have to stimulate as a priority in government. If we are going to stop people from only doing the same thing day in and day out that they have been doing all their life. and that what they have become accustomed to in the last 10 years must not become the new norm in this country. Because when they talk about crime and politicians associated with crime, I want them to understand, you see, because they like to attack me and say that I mix up with everybody. But I want them to know I grew up in Brandon's Gap, Dickens Road, St. Michael, you see. I represent St. Michael's Southeast. And the one thing that I understand is how to mix with people. Because some of the same people that they're talking about on the block is some of the children. And they need to deal with that. But that is for another time. But I want people to understand, careful what you say. Because at the end of the day, we are at a juncture in our history where you have an administration that, as today the people in this country celebrate the late Errol Walton Barrow, who asked about the mirror image. That there are many people who, when they look in the mirror image, the mirror right now, all they're seeing is an image of suffering in this country. They're not seeing an educational system that is on par with the rest of the world. Because you have youngsters coming out of school that have no hope for their future. They went to school, spent from 4 years old to 16, in some cases getting put out of school. I got situations where you got schools in this country that when a child is elevated to third form, when they're supposed to be going into long pants, are telling them that they must wear, at least for the first semester, the short pants. As if that is a penalty. It is a psychological warfare on the young people of this country, and it needs to be addressed. That is not how you discipline people. That is not how you empower people. But when you have a leadership that doesn't speak to its people, that when members of parliament get in trouble, he tells them, get a lawyer. That because his margin is narrow, that he cannot even speak to the issue of discipline, fiscal discipline within his political party. Now you see, they can attack me all they want. Because I am not driving no body vehicle in no ministry to which I am giving contracts. So my hands are clean. But the Prime Minister of this country will not speak to those issues. Those are the things that have become a new norm in this country. And we as a Barbados Labour Party must never rest on our laurels and believe that that must ever become the new norm. The Barbados Labour Party, under the leadership of Mia Motley, produced the Covenant of Hope, and I hope many of you in this audience have read it. For those watching online, if you get the opportunity, go and download it. But a political party that is almost 80 years must recognize that the things that were able to fuel us 80 years ago cannot continue to fuel us into the future. And we have had to redefine ourselves. We have had to identify what do we stand for as a political party? What are we prepared to fight for as a political party? And what are the things that we will prioritize as a political party whenever the reins of government are handed over to us? Whether they take the next 3-4 months to call the election or they call it next month, it doesn't matter to the Barbados Labour Party. Mia Amor Motley is ready to lead. And so tonight, I ask you simply to get on the battlefield with the members of the Barbados Labour Party. We have heard the cries of the people across this country. They have criticized us for rubbing shoulders, where we have gone into constituencies. And, you know, I like to tell people, right? The one thing about the Barbados Labour Party that I have learned within the last couple of years is that the ability for us as member parliaments and candidates to be able to go into other people's constituencies and to hear from you what is happening is second to none. Because Trevor don't have to tell me what is going on in the Ivy or in Licorice Village. Kurt don't have to tell me what is going on in his area, and neither does Marsha. Because through the Rubbing Shoulders program, we have been able to come together with you. And it has equipped us as a political party to be able to lead this country, not focus on what St. Michael's Southeast wants and needs, but to be able to prioritize, because now we are sensitive to what the experiences are of other people across constituencies. That is when you have a leader that has vision, and that understands that it is not about individual ministers going forward. It is about working as a collective to ensure that we do the best for our country, that we remain true to the Barbados Labour Party motto, a better life for our people. And I will maintain our people do not simply mean BLP people, but it means all Barbadians. So my message is clear. It's very simple tonight. Elections are around the corner. We have suffered under this administration for the past few years in a way that Barbadians have never seen. In a way that certainly I never expected that I would see the hardship and the suffering displayed by my brothers and sisters across this country. I have seen the loss of hope and senselessness taking place across communities in this country. But you know what empowers me? The fact that I know that I have a team that is now equipped to be able to lead. That the one thing our leader tells all of us, don't promise anything. Tell the people you will try to do the best that you can do. Because the days of giving false hope to people are over. Barbadians may not understand fiscal deficits and understand foreign reserves and understand the implications of these things to their survival. They understand if the Barbadian dollar shifts from the 2 to 1 to the US dollar. They understand that. And therefore, our discourse with our people must be to educate them about the things that matter to them and that will matter to their survival. This is not a time for promises and spouting policies that become unrealistic. We know as a party we have to deal with the sewage project. And our leader has indicated how it will be dealt with. And we understand that we will have to deal with the issues of housing. Because this administration, while it fooled the people back in 2008 that they were getting the houses for the persons who lived in the housing units, they do not have the brain power to understand how to convey these individual units to the respective tenants that have been paying for over 20 years. They do not have the understanding and the capacity. And I ask you in this next election, do not be fooled by the Democratic Labour Party administration. Do not allow them to come with their smoke and mirror campaign. They can say anything about the members of the Barbados Labour Party. But what we must hold them to account for is their tenure in office. Because if it is that their campaign is only going to be mounted on the basis of personal allegations and not on the basis of what it is that they have done, then you know, and I know on election day, what you, the electorate of this country, must do to them. Vote them out. I am not afraid of the Democratic Labour Party. I have grown tired in Parliament asking them to change the system in which democracy and parliamentary democracy takes place in the House of Parliament. Because I believe if you change it from the top, it will trickle down to the public servants, and it will trickle down to our children, and it will trickle down to corporate entities in this country. But you know what the Democratic Labour Party says? Man, that's what used to happen before on that Barbados Labour Party. That's what we've been doing for years. Because they do not have the capacity to understand that we can do better as a people. And so they're stuck in a mold that will neither advance you or advance the children, the future generations of this country. And we must therefore not give them the lifeline to allow them to hold on in government. We have said, we have drafted integrity legislation because we believe this next frontier that Barbados must enter into, that you must hold people in public life accountable. That whatever has obtained in the past, that we must say, listen, we put our foot down and we call a spade and we let people know if the small man getting locked up, the big man got to hold some time too. And that, unlike what this administration tried to do with the Public Accounts Committee, because the Public Accounts Committee is there to investigate them. And they have a piece of legislation on the order paper to repeal the legislation that gives effect to the Public Accounts Committee. I don't have to tell you why they would want it repealed, and I don't have to tell you that they don't have nothing to replace it with. But if it is to protect them and their ministers, then I assure you that under a Barbados Labour Party administration, we will hold them to account. Because the people of this country have grown tired of a Barbados in which it is one rule for them and it is one rule for us. A couple of weeks ago, I opened my newspaper and I saw that despite the chief town planner issuing a notice, a stop notice, down on Spring Garden Highway, construction continued. Has surpassed what the stop notice said. It tell you stop. Stop means stop, right? But let a fella in my constituency who get laid off by the Democratic Labour Party, get sent home by this Democratic Labour Party, decide to construct an extension on his property to be able to feed his family, and the chief town planner can turn up and his officers and try to tear down the structure. Now, I want to say to you, it may have happened before, but it is wrong. And we must be able as a political party to say it is wrong and to not support these types of activities. It is okay to support big business in this country. But if the big business, the financial benefit does not trickle down to the people at the bottom, it is not helping you. And we have seen a policy by this administration where they have crippled small businesses in this country. I recall a time in Barbados, under the Barbados Labour Party, where you had small businesses, people doing nails, people doing, using lawnmowers, weed whackers, people doing things and stepping out of their comfort zone in their houses and going out mainstream and setting up business because the Barbados Labour Party understood that it needed to empower its people. Everybody can't work in government. But under this administration, and tell me if I lie, because I have seen people go back home. I have seen people's businesses when they go back home fold up because they cannot survive because things are so hard in this country. And we understand as a party that gave hope to the people, these very same people, that we know what we have to do. And I hear the music playing, so I know my time is up. But I say to you, when the bell is rung, people of the Barbados Labour Party and all who are listening, vote them out. It is only with the Barbados Labour Party that we are going to put Barbados back on its footing. I thank you.